We're discussing the future trends in animation game design. What is the current use of animation, virtual reality, augmented reality, and gestures, and what is it going to be like in the future? We go to 125. So, virtual reality. So, we have a definition there. What is virtual reality? Alia, you can start the reading for us.
Virtual reality is the use of computer technology to create a simulated environment. Unlike traditional user interfaces, VR places the user inside an experience. Instead of viewing a screen in front of them, users are immersed and able to interact with 3D worlds. By simulating as many senses as possible, such as vision, hearing, touch, and even smell, the computer is transformed into a gatekeeper to this artificial world. The only limits to near real virtual reality experiences are the availability of content and cheap computing costs.
Good. So, virtual reality basically creates a 3D world, just like how you would play a 3D game. It creates that 3D world and it puts you inside of that world. It takes all of your senses, our five main senses, and it links it up basically with the game, so it can we can basically be perceived or even tricked, you can say, into thinking we are inside of this world. So we're hearing sounds from the game, we are seeing the reality in the game, touch, depending on the controls, we can have different variations of touch, feelings, smell, and so on. All depends on the system. So it's a virtual world inside of a system. Now, what is limiting it today? Well, content is what is limiting virtual reality today. It's not a popular technology, it's still growing, it's still developing, so we don't have a lot of content and we don't have basically the technology to make it widespread. It's like when computers started off or when smartphones started off. Yes, they were doing their job, but at the same time, they were expensive, and they weren't basically the best at the time. They're new technology. So, because these technology aren't that affordable, and some of them they're not at that standard yet where we can say it is perfect, that is limiting their widespread use. So the three types of virtual reality, there's fully immersive simulations.
Yeah, I read through it. I'm not sure about that the third type, but yeah, that's what they gave me.
Good, we can go through it. All right, so the first one, fully immersive simulations. Ariel, you can read that.
Chances are, when you think of VR, you are picturing a fully immersive experience, complete with head mounted displays, headphones, gloves, and maybe a treadmill or some kind of suspension apparatus. This type of VR is commonly used for gaming and other entertainment purposes in VR arcades, or even in your home. Empty, non fragile room advised. Fully immersive simulations give users the most realistic experience possible, complete with sight and sound. The VR headsets provide high resolution content with a wide field of view. Whether you're flying or fighting the bad guys, you'll feel you feel like you're really there.
Good. So a fully immersive virtual reality experience is going to have a lot of equipment. So like this here. 01 is open, so there you go. Currently work with this one.
This is what I missed because certain Wasn't there a gaming place in the mall that had these stuff?
I'm not sure. It could be.
It
There,
was like next to DQ.
DQ, Mall, City Mall.
No,
Oh,
Giftland.
Giftland Mall. Yes, the Giftland Mall has virtual reality systems. Yes,
But they had it.
Those are the
I
egg.
think they like sold it or something.
they have it still. They have the egg ones that are next to the stairs.
Yeah,
Well,
there's a lot
only
of them.
those they have left.
Yeah. So if we take that system into consideration, that has equipment whereby you have to sit in something, and because you're sitting in that chair and that chair is moving, it's giving you the feeling, the perception that you are actually moving inside of the game. Any of you ever used it?
Yes, sir. It wasn't really that scary.
It
I
wasn't.
I
Yeah, it
went
was
on
terrible.
I went on one, and this one is one of those roller coasters where you're in a ball, and they sling you in a ball. And this thing was so immersive that when this thing sling me up into the air, um, it tilted forward because obviously you can see the opening. It tilted forward and the chair tilted forward, and I could have swear I would have fallen out. That's how immersive it was. So I think the guys told me that
Yeah.
highest level for us, and they were supposed to put it on a beginner level. That was too much for us. Yeah, but you get the idea. You need the equipment to be fully immersed to get that, because virtual reality needs to take over our senses basically. Our sense of touch, sight, smell, hearing, and all of those things in order for us to perceive it. So, like in this game here, in order for them to move in the game, they need these equipments to keep them stabilized, and yet they can walk, and it would register that movement in the game. Wherever they look, wherever they point, it's going to register it. So that's going to give them a better experience. That's fully immersive, like we're seeing here. So if you're flying, they're going to have to hang you up. Now the semi-immersive experience. Zane,
Yes, sir.
you're reading semi-immersive.
Okay, semi-immersive experience provide users with a partially virtual environment to interact with. This type of VR is mainly used for educational and training purposes, and the experience is made possible with graphical computing and large projector systems.
Continue.
In this example, the instruments in the front of the pilot are real, and the windows are screens displaying virtual content. It is important to keep in mind that semi-immersive VR simulations still give the users the perception of being in a different reality. This type of virtual reality is not always possible to experience wherever. Instead, physical environments are created to supplement virtual reality.
Good. So a semi-immersive environment. So this display here, um, I would like to assume it is a virtual display, and everything you're seeing on the screen here is also virtual. So it's simulating him actually flying the plane, to test the plane, but he's not wearing any gear like how the fully immersed person would be. He is seeing it with his own eyes. So it's like they're creating an experience that a person would go through if they're actually flying a plane, or maybe if they were operating on a person, things like that. There's actually a virtual reality game on the Nintendo Switch, whereby you can act as a doctor. So that's gonna be a semi-immersive simulation where you use the controls to um, control the hands of the doctor and perform upon a person. You guys following so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right, so we have non-immersive. Now let's see what that is. Alia?
Non-immersive simulations are often forgotten as an actual type of VR, honestly because it's very common in our everyday lives. The average video game is technically considered a non-immersive virtual reality experience. Think about it. If you're sitting in a physical space interacting with a virtual one, these types of experiences have become more advanced in recent years with video games like Wii Sports, where the system actually detects your motion and translates it on the screen. So, I,
Yes, it makes sense, Alia. Um,
okay.
have you ever played a game or watched a movie and feel like if you are in the game or movie?
Yup.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's what they're trying to explain here. That this is a form of virtual reality that the content can be so immersive that it feels as though you are actually in the content. But you don't have all of those technology. You don't have the headset, you don't have the gloves and so on. But it's still a virtual world. Because remember this game here, if you were to be inside of it, then that would have been an immersive world. That would have been an immersive virtual reality there. But you're outside now. But when you look at the screen, you feel as though you're a part of it, especially when you're gonna play a game in first person, where the character, you don't see the character, but you are. It's like if you are moving as the character, and that makes you more immersive into the game. So you're not in the game, but you're not you still feel as though you are a part of the game. That is non-immersive. um, and some even allow you to interact with the game. For example, the Wii game, they created the nunchuck and the remote, and when you move the remote in the real world, it basically translates to movement inside of the game also. So my favorite game was actually the tennis.
Sir, yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. If it's
Yes,
a tennis where you're using remote as the racket.
right. So that Wii tennis game, that was a non-immersive virtual reality game. So in this game here, the you are playing as this character here, and as you move the remote in your hand, you're moving the racket in the game. So exactly how you move the remote in the real world, that is how it was moved in the game. If you swing from right to left, that is how the racket would move. If you swing from left to right, that is exactly how the racket would have moved. And there was other games that implemented it, and so you can that was a form of virtual reality there, where you interacted with that world. All right, good. So we looked at that's basically what are some types of virtual reality, what it is. So what are the trends today? What is happening today? That's where we have to look at. How are persons using virtual reality today? So Ariel, you can read number one.
VR in training and education, accurate learning without risk. VR can aid professional development and learning by simulating real situations without risk involved. One of the most prominent examples of this could be workplace safety. Take a construction site as an example. Through VR technology, we can produce fantastic simulations that explain, explore, and define hazards without actually exposing people to any risk.
Good. So virtual reality, how persons using it today for training and education. Do you guys know of any games or any virtual reality animation or games that are like this that you would have come across?
Not really, sir, but I saw it in a movie though.
Okay.
No, sir.
What about farm simulator, flight simulator?
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys heard about simulator, right?
yeah,
Yes.
When you could buy a software. That's actually what major companies today, actually major persons today use. It's developed by Microsoft to learn how to fly a plane. They use a game. Imagine that they use a game to learn how to fly a plane. So virtual reality can be used to train persons and to educate persons. And like I mentioned earlier, there's even some virtual reality games where you can act as a doctor, so that it helps to train you, so that you don't have to be in that environment where you can cause harm to others or yourself. But I didn't ask if there's any questions on the VR, any of the content we looked at so far before we continue. Anything? You guys following? So,
yep.
Yes, sir.
all right,
Yes,
good.
sir.
So let's look at the second trend now, and that Zane, you can read that.
VR aided retail shopping. Shop retail at home. The world of e-commerce is skyrocketing in popularity, especially during the pandemic. VR is already partly in the e-commerce and retail shopping world, but the integrations promise to take this to the next level. We're already seeing the fair amount of VR use in retail shopping, such as the dimensions, size, and features of products, without actually having them on hand.
Good. You guys know of any experience with this? You ever use the Amazon app?
Correct.
Yeah, Amazon app. It has a feature whereby you can use virtual reality. So if you want to know how item would look in your home, you can use the augmented reality, you can say, to put it inside of your home, and you'll be able to know how it's gonna look, how it's gonna fit in that corner or that table, things like that. Or it's gonna show you what is the exact size or other information about the item. So you don't physically see the item, you can see it through the device. Good. Number three, Alia. Remember, if you have any questions on any one of them, let me know. Continue, Alia.
Yes. Entertaining consumers with virtual reality. Um, experience reality remotely. VR has been used for entertainment from the very start. However, this trend is booming, especially due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Since most people are stuck at home with nothing to do, a significant portion of them is looking at alternative ways to spend their time, and remote reality seems to be the one of the most popular ways to do so. Through the advent of VR technologies, people can escape into a brand new simulated world, explore all kinds of things, and entertain themselves without ever having to leave the comfort and safety of their own homes.
Good. So that's straightforward there. You want to experience another world. It could either be a world that was created, or it could be a world that actually exists, a place that actually exists. You ever went on I think Facebook and YouTube has it, where you can look at the 3D picture. You guys ever saw that?
I know about the 3D
Yeah,
videos
Facebook
in
has it.
YouTube.
Right. So it gives you that 3D view, so that it you can look in all directions. You can pan it and look in all directions, and be able to see the scene, the scenario, what is in the environment, and so on. So that's how persons are using VR today. Collaboration, Ariel.
Oculus was acquired by Facebook, showing the possibility of integrated VR within the social platform. Since most of the people worldwide have moved from their office into their home, online cooperation has never been quite as important as it is now.
Continue.
Through VR, we can significantly augment the quality of online interactions both in business and private dealings. VR has become a social norm, making it one of the leading innovations in digital cooperation.
Good. So, how do persons collaborate without virtual reality? What do persons use today? What methods do they use? DM students? How do you collaborate? How do you work together with somebody to complete something? How are we
Um,
how are we collaborating right now?
Google Doc,
dividing the work.
But how? What are we
using Google
doing?
Doc.
Using a Google Doc, right? So that's one way we are collaborating right now. All of us, we can access that one Google Doc, and there's other software tools out there. Dropbox, whatever else tools are out there. There's other sophisticated tools that you can use to collaborate. But persons can now use virtual reality where they can appear as though they're in the same room, they can see one another, they can have more interaction, more communication, more socializing, so that they can basically collaborate easier. All right, next we have tourism and travel. Zain,
Tourism and travel. Experience destinations before booking. As most of us are stuck at home due to the coronavirus pandemic, people are yearning for a vacation or any travel in general. In light of this, the travel industry has quickly adopted new technologies during the pandemic. One of those is VR used for experiencing places before actually booking them. Exploring places before you book them is one of the best ways to experience them and prepare for what's to come.
good. So this is similar to the entertainment where you can see an environment, see a place. So that's similar to that. You see where you are going before you actually travel there. Six, Alia.
Kadisha. Number 6, right?
Yes.
VR is advertisement for virtual reality. VR is soon going to support native advertising along with branded placements. More than a couple of companies have included VR support in their brand innovations, which means that the use of VR technology is on the rise as it as is its application in many industries worldwide. VR makes advertisements more appealing, inviting, and interactive, instantly giving them a lot of value.
Good. So how are VR used today in that area? Anyone? So it's similar to um, which one? The entertainment or the virtual shopping. It's similar to those, whereby persons can advertise their product to you. You can be able to. It's gonna be as though you're seeing the product. You are seeing the service in action. You get to see how large it is, how small it is, how it works, how it functions, um, things like that. So you get more detailed information about what the product or the service is. And using virtual reality now to advertise, It's going to make it more appealing. It's going to add more brand to the product because you're now giving the person who's going to be interested a more experience with it, a better experience than them going to a website, looking at the product on a website, just looking at the image, and they don't know what it looks like, what it feels like, and so on. So that's going to help with the product there. 7, Ariel.
New gaming VR applications. VR makes gaming better. Most of the investments in VR come from the gaming industry. This trend will continue in the future as gaming is one of the biggest use cases for virtual reality at the moment. Experiencing games in VR brings a brand new dimension of video games and changes them fundamentally. More possibilities, opportunities, and a virtual unmatched immersion standard become a possibility when you combine the exciting world of gaming and the promising world of VR.
Good. So playing games with VR basically gives you a more immersive game that you can enjoy. 8, Zane.
VR reshaping the automotive industry. Self-driving cars are the future. The automotive industry has undergone a seismic shift in the past few years, and most of that is due to the innovation of technology. Aside from decreasing or eliminating carbon emissions, technological developments such as virtual reality have found a foothold in self-driving cars and other innovations in the automotive industry. Self-driving cars will be a standard thing in the future, and VR technology is actively participating in helping these vehicles reach new heights.
Good. Um, okay. So virtual reality when it comes to cars. So in order to get these self-driving cars to be able to work, basically it's as though these cars need to see the world. They need to see what you are able to see. So they're gonna have. That's why these cars have so many cameras on them. Some cars have a lot of cameras on them all around the car, so that they can basically map their environment. They're going to create this virtual world, and then using that now, they can be able to navigate and drive hopefully safely in that world. 9, Alia.
VR and AI applications. Virtual reality is an exciting technological development, and the only thing that can make it better is AI. The combination of VR and AI applications is crucial for cybersecurity training, precision medicine, accessibility tools, collaboration, assistance, and many more things used by businesses daily.
Good. So anybody know what is AI? Which you should.
Artificial
Artificial
intelligence.
intelligence.
Yes, but what is it?
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, sure, y'all did. Y'all, y'all were supposed to have done information systems in IT, didn't you?
Yes, yes, we did.
And this is one type of information system. I can't remember which one.
Correct.
Which one? Anyway, this is one of the information system. Anybody know how artificial intelligence works?
Sir, I think they map human like thoughts and actions into a computer to perform functions.
Okay, that's like a nutshell idea. Good. Um, so the reason why it artificial intelligence actually, I brought up, it falls under information systems, is because you should know that the information system, the purpose of it is to collect information and to do something with that information, to process it, to use it for some sort of purpose. So, artificial intelligence, the purpose of that is to take in information. Basically, it can take in any kind of information. So, for example, if we look back at self-driving cars, AI can work with self-driving cars in that it can take in the information as to how persons drive, how persons interact. When they see a dog on the road, how do they react? Do they speed up? Do they stop? Do they turn left? Do they turn right? What do they do? So the AI now is going to constantly be taking in all of this information, all of this data, and it's going to basically use that to make decisions. So that's why virtual reality and AI can work together, and AI can make virtual reality better because it's going to look at the different patterns persons are carrying out. What are the actions? What are they doing? What are they saying? What function, what feature are they using? So it's going to record all of that, and based on those information, it basically makes a decision. So AI, you basically feed it a lot of data, feed it a lot of information based on patterns, and it can make a decision based on that. So that's AI basically in a nutshell. Um, and then lastly, we have mixed reality. Who has to read that one?
Ariel.
VR and AI technology have been working together to bring out the best in both, and one of the best examples of this merger is architecture. In architecture, these technologies are used for 3D visualization, creating interactive, lifelike landscapes and designs before they create them. Furthermore, these two technologies go hand in hand with many applications.
Right. So they can actually be used hand in hand together to give you a more immersive experience. So remember, virtual reality is inside of a virtual world. But if you incorporate that now into the real world, and you put it with real world objects and real world buildings and so on, then you have a more immersive experience, a more immersive visualization of the environment, and that can help you to carry out certain tasks, like for example, architecture, landscaping, design, and so on, a lot more easier because you can visualize how things would look like or how it can look like. All right, so that is the some of the trends for virtual reality. What is virtual reality? We looked at there. So we're way beyond our time. Let's see. All right, we can look at that in another class next week.